Welcome to something special. Welcome to TEDx. This TEDx event is part of a global conversation that takes place every day in every corner of the world. In schools, in theaters, in workplaces, even in prisons, people gather to hear the best ideas bubbling up in their communities. More than 3,000 TEDx events are held every year in 170 countries. It's a remarkable thing. TEDx events are self-organized under a license from TED, a non-profit organization devoted to discovering and sharing powerful ideas in the form of TED Talks. It's not TED itself, but your local TEDx team of volunteers that has done all the work to put on today's event, including booking all of the speakers. It's this team's ideas, dedication, and time that have made this possible. We really hope today's program sparks an exciting conversation. This is a day for curiosity and for skepticism, for inspiration and for action. The more you enter into it, the more you will take out. And now, on with the show.
Hello everyone and welcome to TEDxYouth AISVN 2022.
We are Katie and Julia, MCs for today's Expedition to the Hidden Nine Tenths.
Expedition to the Hidden Nine Tenths. Why this theme? Now, more than ever, we have noticed a growing need to diversify our perspectives, and we want to ultimately empower everyone to share the stories that are often left unsaid.
With that being said, let's now dive into a unique world of ideas and perspectives, starting with our first speaker, Landon Nee's Quality versus Quantity.
Hello everyone, my name is Landon, a junior from Saigon Taos International School. I just want to say that I'm truly honored to be standing here. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to share some ideas that are worth sharing. You know, as I was drafting this speech, I was contemplating between two options. Should I write a speech that is 20 minutes long that will surely bore you to death? Or, keep it simple, write a 5-minute speech with all the information I need to cover. And obviously, I chose the latter. That's also the topic I brought you today, the debate between quantity and quality. Quantity and quality, a long debate in any field of study. In science, is it better to take qualitative measurements or quantitative measurements? In literature, is it better to write a 28-page essay or just write a few short paragraphs with the utmost syntax and diction? For athletes, is it better to train every day or just train once or twice a week with a solid plan? And I often hear the answer being quality over quantity. But is that the case for everything? Is that a universal law to success? No, I don't think so. Recently, I finished a book called Delayed Gratification by a Japanese lawyer and author, Jun Mitami. In his book, he talked about how to execute and setting up your plans. And my plans have been significantly more successful compared to the ones before. There's one section where he talked about quantity and quality. When I first read it, I was like, of course we would choose quality. That's common sense. But I was deadly wrong. He mentioned that quality and quantity, neither quantity or quality is the key concept. It is about adjusting those two concepts best according to your ability. When we fail, do we really fail? And we often misconceptualize that the opposite of success is failure. It is not. The opposite of success is not taking actions. It doesn't really matter if we did bad on English test or missed a shot in basketball. As long as you're still moving towards your goal, success won't be far away. Let's not get sidetracked and turn this into a motivational speech. Again, quantity and quality. Like I said, success is tangible as long as you're putting in the work. In other words, not only do you have to put in enough work, you also have to put in high quality work. As ambitious and self-motivated high schoolers as we are, we tend to make our goals too grand and too challenging and too difficult. And that's when we're prone to lose confidence. I don't know if you studied psychology in the past, but there's a term called fight or flight, where we flight when we think the challenge is too challenging, and fight when we think the challenge is manageable. And when we make our goals too challenging, we tend to flee from it. However, if we adjust those two, quality and quantity, we can influence us to take it on and do more of it. Let me give you a personal example. Like I said, I'm a junior and I'm currently preparing for the ACT exam. ACT exam is famous for its advanced vocabularies, which often throws students off. And as someone who want to do well on it, I decided I'll learn those vocabularies. So I went ahead and bought an ACT vocab book and decided I'll learn 20 words every day and write a short paragraph about it. It sounded like a good goal, right? Indeed it was. And at first I was, doing it every day. Remember 20 words, writing short paragraphs. I felt really motivated. However, as time went on, I felt the words were harder and harder to memorize and harder to incorporate them into a paragraph. And with everything else going on in my life, I had doubts, I had disappointments, and I stopped for a few weeks. Then I realized I should have used the principle of quantity and quality. Can't do 20 words with a paragraph, don't write the paragraph. Can't do 20 words, 15 words. Can do 10 words. It's not about seeing the challenge and backing away from it. It's seeing the challenge yet still taking incremental steps towards it. It seems like I was lowering my standards so I can do less work, but compared to doing nothing, I was far better off by doing something. Even though my topic today is about quantity and quality, the true message I'm trying to send here is making progress is really important when even it's little. So next time when you're feeling like a failure for not succeeding in your goal, make sure to understand the fact that the opposite of success is not failure, and make sure you're still taking small steps towards it. Thank you.
Thank you, Landon, for delivering such a wonderful message to our audience. And we'll now dive deeper into the world of cinematography and rape culture with Diana Nguyen.
Hi, my name is Diana, and welcome today for you to join into my TED Talk. Today, I will going to talk about rape culture in films and televisions. Before I'm mentioning about my speech, I wanted to give up a heads up first that in this speech, there will going to contain sexual violence descriptions, so please be aware of that. When I was young, I grew up watching a lot of movies and films and televisions. Well, it has influenced me a lot on my behavior, my communication skills, as well as the way I think. Well, not until recently that I have realized that I have been influenced a lot with my idea and at the same time, the idea of rape culture. So, what is rape culture and why am I even telling you about this? Well, rape culture is the society or the environment that trivializes or normalizes sexual abuse or sexual assault. And the reason why I wanted to tell you about this is because I wanted to remind each of us that what the movie is portraying to us or what the movie is trying to claim that they're portraying to us is only on the tip of the iceberg. And the impact of what the movie has on us are way more detrimental than that. Well, you might be thinking right now, not everyone is being influenced by movies. Well, I guess that it is true. However, according to a social learning theory, children imitate models to learn about gender-specific behaviors. As children, teenagers, or even college students, it is impossible for us to learning about sexuality as there are not as much information coming from the school or even parents. Therefore, many students or college students rely a lot on movies and films for that. According to a recent research by Kennedy and Sean on sex violence on TV, on the correlation of sex violence on TV and teen pregnancy. The research conducted on teenagers and children from the age of 12 to 17 years old, and the results has shows that teenagers with more exposure to sexual violence on TV is 2 to 3 times more likely to get pregnant or impregnate someone else rather than the peers who doesn't. So before I begin to mentioning what are the ways that sexual violence is being implied within films and televisions, it is important for us to be able to distinguish the difference between many types of sexual abuse namely sexual assault, sexual harassment, as well as rape. Well, first of all, what is sexual assault? Well, sexual assault is when a person intentionally sexually touches another person without their consent, while sexual harassment is the way that the person uses explicit or implicit overtones that promises of sexual relations as a reward. And lastly is rape, is when a person conducted sexual intercourse against the victim without their consent. Well, now that you have fully aware of different types of sexual abuse, I wanted to go into my TED Talk. And today I will going to talk about how rape culture in films and televisions are being implied through the use of tropes as well as languages. So, what are tropes? Tropes are the common and the universal theme that is used widely within movie. Some of the tropes that I find disturbingly is first of them is when the rapist assumes women's no is a yes. For example, in the movie of Gone with the Wind, Scarlett and Red are a couple. However, during their fight with each other, Red has threatened to kill her, and therefore, due to scare and terrified, Scarlett has ran away. However, Red has ran into her, catches her, and forces himself upon her. Despite many attempts that Scarlett wants to get away, the movie direction showing that Scarlett was aroused by that. The portrayal of this trope is misleading to the audiences, as it teaches the audiences to understand a request in the opposite manner from what has been said. Not only that, the movie also shows how consent is being minimalized, and the consent and the woman consent is more inferior compared to men and not being taken as seriously. Secondly, another disturbing trope that I have also found is when the victim falling in love with the rapist. For example, in the movie Glee, which I have watched recently, that the character Puck and Quinn, the character Puck has drunken the character Quinn, and he attempts to rape her. And on the next day, Quinn falls in love with Puck. This trope is also misleading as well as problematic, as it teaches the audiences that it is normal to be friended with the rapist, and that making them to fail to recognize the toxic, abusive relationship that they are currently going through with the rapist. And lastly, the trope that I also found quite disturbing to me is the trope that defines manhood as dominant and sexually aggressive, while womanhood as submissive and sexually passive. This trope is quite disturbing as well, because it's showing that the victim is an object and sexual objectification woman, and that woman is used as an object to relieve male sexual desires. Not only that, it also stereotyping how each gender should behave, and that's showing that women are more inferior compared to men. And this trope also extended through the use of languages. For example, the languages such as boys were going to be boys, or what is she wearing? Or even the languages that is slut-shaming the women are the victims. And these are problematic because it helps to minimalize the seriousness of rape, and at the same time normalizing victim blaming. Tragically, these languages is already used a lot throughout our everyday life as well as in reality, as this hindrances many women and many victims to report their cases, as they were afraid of being victim blamed. In the end, it is impossible for us to remove all of the rape culture content, or even out of movies, or even out of our minds. However, it is possible for us to change our mindsets when watching movies. As a young teenagers and adults, what you can do is to improve upon your media literacy skills. By this, I mean what you can do is to be skeptical of what you see and be able to identify the different tropes and messages that is being implied within the movies. Not only that, it is important for you to be able to distinguish between reality as well as movies. And I also wanted to encourage each of you to be an active and engaged movie watcher instead of passively receiving information that you gain from the movie. And for authoritative figures such as the adult or school, it is important for you to help integrated sexual education or talk to your children. I totally understand that children with the age under 18 are too young to talk about this. However, according to statistics taken by UNICEF, 1 in every 20 girls are being subjected to sexual abuse before the age of 20. Therefore, by giving them the talk and teaching them how to protect themselves is essential at an early age. And lastly, it is also important for the adults in the society to create an environment that is open and welcoming toward sexual abuse victims for them to be able to voice out their cases and not making sexual abuse or rape a taboo. Prohibiting slut shaming is also a way to help. With the theme of expedition to the hidden 9/10, I wanted to encourage each of you to be more open-minded. Not only that, to be more active media watchers, and at the same time, to teach this to your friends, your peers, your siblings, or even your family, to raise their awareness upon this issue. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Diana, for such an informative and powerful talk. Next, let's now explore the hidden 9/10 of one of the most critical global issues to date. Please welcome our third speaker, Chagravi Singh, on stage and her talk about climate change.
How many of you wake up every day and see an array of smog or have experienced more floodings in your hometowns or districts? If so, I'm going to be speaking about the climate crisis and how it is affecting the country we all reside in, Vietnam. As being one of the countries with the longest coastline, Vietnam faces significant challenges on this issue. Time is ticking, and the longer we wait to take action, the more problems there will be. The government has been implementing green agendas for the future. However, I strongly believe the strength of the action lies within you, the people. Just over a year ago, Vietnam suffered its worst flooding disaster yet, which claimed over 150 lives. The flooding stretched from the central city of Da Nang to some of the south-central provinces. Da Nang is used to facing these climatic events, but the fact that it will still go on will not only weaken the economic value of the city, but the cultural and environmental aspects as well. Last year, when Storm Kongson hit, people had to navigate their way through filthy waterways just to get to their homes or job sites. I strongly relate to this, as I've been to a school in Thao Dien, Saigon, where it used to flood almost daily. After witnessing how some of my friends, teachers, and administrators struggled to come to school, I started to advocate for the climate crisis. Those who stood by me were the members of the Sustainability Committee, who encouraged me on Earth Day 2019 to give a speech highlighting the effects and solutions of the crisis. There were students who didn't know or didn't care about the crisis, but I was there to show how the climate crisis was linked to their lives. Towards the north, researchers from the University of Engineering and Technology said that the capital had the worst air quality in the country. This is an even greater cause for concern, as human health is also affected along with the risk of the climate crisis. In terms of the pandemic, there will be more cases added as the virus feeds on those who are most vulnerable. According to the president of the Vietnam Clean Air Partnership, more than 40% of northern Vietnamese localities have air pollutants higher than the national standards. However, when lockdowns came around, the air was much cleaner than before, and it was so much better as people were starting to walk more and take out their bicycles and go to their respective destinations. According to a UN report, more than 40% of harmful greenhouse gas emissions were reduced. And this became true in a lot of ways through the lockdowns that were implemented around the region. Towards the south, the country is suffering from a drought unlike any other, as it's become more severe throughout the years. This is because the rainy season is coming at a much later date and it's starting to become much shorter. This is causing more food shortages and water scarcity for the people around the Mekong Delta region. As I've been living here for more than a decade now, I started to become a vegetarian through realizing all the effects of the droughts that are happening around not only the Mekong Delta region, but other regions as well. Being a vegetarian means saving up more water compared to meat-based products, as vegetables require less water and they are much more distributable. I remember once going on a trip to Cat Tien National Park and seeing these incredible species such as the silver langur or the pygmy loris that are currently under threat by our inactions on this issue. Their homes are currently under threat by the construction of palm oil factories or deforestation that's happening. Their populations are declining steadily year by year. It's similar to how we have to constantly flee our homes whenever there's any internal conflict or war. We all want to safeguard our homes and fill them with joy. And we all want to ensure that everyone can live safely. Therefore, let's do our part to save the animals that are currently under threat around the forest, not only in Cat Tien Park, but other national forests as well. We can do this by starting out reforestation initiatives or going on ecotourism visits, as the one I've done here, so that more animals can be protected and they can have their survival alongside us as well. We have now got to step up and step in with our game. I remember once being part of the sustainability club at my school. We learned the importance of doing eco-bricking and carrying our own bags to the grocery store to limit plastic pollution. We went on a farm visit to donate our eco-bricking bottles, in which we can have a plastic bottle and insert any plastic materials into them so that more homes can be created. I started to get involved in the club after seeing the documentary called Plastic Paradise: The Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Plastic pollution has become very common as we can see more plastics around the beaches, streets, or other public areas. The link between the plastic pollution and climate change is that as soon as plastic turn into microplastics, more greenhouse gas emissions are released into the atmosphere. As I've been starting to spread awareness about this on my social media and organizations I partner with, such as the local Globe, Dear Asian Youth, and at my school, I started to write more articles for the local Globe, in which I also did a podcast where I interviewed students, teachers, and organization leaders on their thoughts on the UN Sustainable Development Goals. They all had varying opinions, but they all agreed that through effective communication and by us taking action, there can be a much sustainable future and a greener world. At the Dear Asian Youth, I started to share stories about the climate crisis and how we all can spread awareness and start to do any activities for raising more awareness. Through partnering with these organizations, I started to I started to become not only more passionate, but also become more interested in how people are going across borders and across the country to spread the word and to act within their own communities. This was all very inspirational, and this led me to become an activist in several other organizations as well. Vietnam is currently announced their plans during the COP26 summit, in which leaders announced that by 2045, they hope the economy can be 75% renewable. Hanoi even started its own electric bus program, and Saigon hopes to do so soon. There are many actions and many steps that you all can take. There have been many stores opening up right here in Saigon that sell eco-friendly materials and resources such as Kelu, Lighted Refill, or Green Around the Corner. I strongly encourage you all to buy more eco-friendly materials so that you all can live a much more sustainable life. With all these steps and actions, the hope is for all of you and for many other people to start stepping up and to reach out to more people to not only spread awareness, but to start taking the actions so that Vietnam can not only become more sustainable, but have a renewable lifestyle as well. This can all ensure that Vietnam reaches climate justice and sustainability in the near future. So now let's all step up and rise to help Vietnam and our communities as well. Thank you.
It never seems to occur to me that the impacts of climate change can be so profound, and it's happening right now in Vietnam. Don't you think so too? Indeed, but I'm glad youths like Chagavi are beginning to speak up about it. Now, let's explore how a regular's feet could be made strikingly easy. A journey through happy learning with Quỳnh Anh.
There is a saying that goes, teachers do not only teach students, they can also learn from their students. In my case, I learned a life-changing lesson from one of my students. It was a hot and humid Friday evening. I first met Tom when he came to my school for a placement test. He appeared a small medical university student in his yellow Crocs, which were paired with a bright yellow hoodie and faded blue jeans. Contrary to this eye-catching choice of outfit, he seemed rather shy and reserved. Tom caught my attention immediately the moment he stepped into the room, but it was not for his conflicting appearance. His eyes, veiled behind thick glasses, were sparkling bright. Only some time later, when he had become one of my students, did I understand why I was so fascinated by his eyes. It was a hot and humid summer evening, and I just dismissed the last class of the day. The students and I were just chatting on our way to the parking lot as usual. I still distinctly remember the chill that ran through my body, ended on the fingertips, leaving me frozen for a moment. I learned English because I like it. Tom replied to my question with his sparkling eyes. I asked him, why do you need to learn English, considering him having no intention of going abroad? 16 years of chasing academic achievement flashed through my mind, and I knew immediately, for all those years, my eyes had never sparkled when I talk about studying, and that I'd been jealous of the look Tom had in his eyes the moment we met. In order to better understand that seemingly exaggerated reaction of mine, let me tell you what kind of student I used to be. I can't recall much from my primary school experiences, except from the fact that my friends and I got at least a 9 for all the tests we took. Studying felt like brushing our teeth. There was nothing exciting about it, and we did it out of habit, knowing it would be beneficial in the long run. But how? No one ever gave me the answer, and I did not question it either. Going through secondary school and high school was like eating dinner. It was a little more difficult as I had to endure physics and chemistry on most days, so I could enjoy my favorite dish, English, on the other days. But studying had become part of my routine. I'd never been a picky eater, which means I can eat whatever I'm fed with. Just like how I managed to stay within the top 5 of my classes in terms of GPA, despite all the dull, dry, and inexplicably necessary subjects. At the end of the day, what problems can there be with following routines? Or so I thought. Do you remember Tom's sparkling eyes? In retrospect, I believe that sparkle came from him knowing why he was studying. He was purposeful. He was happy with going to classes and doing homework. I found myself jealous of him because I'd never felt the same way about studying. I worked hard. I did well in school. I even graduated from one of the most prestigious universities in Ho Chi Minh City, being in the top 10% of the graduating class. However, I was nothing but a creature of habit, which followed the norm without even wanting to be happy or satisfied. And the worst part is, I was completely unaware of my ignorance. That made learning pretty much meaningless to me. But fortunately, I have eventually found my happiness. Last February, during that holiday, I signed up for a course called CELTA, Certificate in Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. I cleared up my schedule. I borrowed a big sum of tuition fee, and I pursued an intensive full-time course at a school 13-hour flight away from Vietnam. The whole month of February was an absolute joy as I woke up every day looking forward to every new, exciting lesson. And I believe, had anyone asked, "Why do you take CELTA?" my eyes would have sparkled answering that question. And that's when I discovered happy learning. Happy learning happens when you want to learn and you learn purposefully. We tend to go to school, take exams, do homework because we're told to do so, not because we ourselves feel the need to. In other words, we feel like we have to do such boring things, usually out of fears. The fear of being scolded by our parents, of being left behind by our peers, or of not having a bright future ahead. It's similar to the time your mom told you to do your homework when you had already planned to do so. Before that, you were really excited and you thought you would do the math homework first, then some chemistry, then some literature. But the moment your mom told you to do the exact same thing, you lost all your interest and excitement. That is because the fact of being told to do something or the fear of being scolded are extrinsic motivations, a kind of incentive that comes from outside factors, not within yourselves. This kind of motivation is useful in pushing you forward, but it doesn't give you any sense of happiness, fulfillment, or the wish to learn more. On some occasions, it even hinders you from enjoying the whole process, which is in this case, learning. Meanwhile, it is intrinsic motivations, our internal drive, that stimulates you to work and study to your full potential. Think about the time you started to play a very interesting game. You wanted to master it, so you learned how to play and win it purposefully. No one told you to do so. And do you remember how excited and engaged you were in the whole learning process? How you were overjoyed when you won your first game, and how you wanted to continue to explore even better ways to win that game. What if you had your own intrinsic motivations? What if you felt the same way about studies, like when you play your favorite game? Thông didn't learn English because of his parents' wishes or for a certificate. He liked it, and he wanted to be more proficient. I didn't take CELTA because I was told to, or for fear of missing out. I wanted to be a better teacher for my students. And as it turned out, I learned so much more in that 1 month compared to 12 years in school and 4 years in university. I no longer dreaded assignments, but I enjoyed the knowledge I gained from them instead. And now I still want to continue my learning journey. That's my intrinsic motivation, my own purpose. So, how can you achieve happy learning like Thông and I did? The easiest way is simply to learn the things that you like. Put in as much effort as you can to excel in that subject. Satisfy your needs, your curiosities, and your desires. However, as high school students, I know you have more than just 1 or 2 subjects to focus on, right? So I'm here today to tell you some tips on how to learn even your least favorite subjects happily. The key is to focus on your intrinsic motivations instead of the extrinsic ones, like fears. In his book called Drive, the New York Times bestseller author Daniel Pink listed 3 key factors for his motivation model: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. It is this trio that drives, engages, and stimulates you to work to your full potential. Let's talk autonomy. Take control. Be aware that you are in full control of your ability, time, and energy. Mastery, the desire to improve. Always aim to become the best. Believe that you can always do better, and don't be happy with being average. Purpose. Find a practical purpose to study. This should be related to your greater purpose, like getting a scholarship or your career goals. Let's take history as an example. When I was in high school, I thought history was dull and dry, and I hardly ever paid full attention in my history classes. However, had I known that my greater purpose was to become an English teacher, I would have been more purposeful with this subject. As a matter of fact, teaching English involves teaching not only the language, but also the historical aspects of it. And a good understanding of Vietnam and the world's history would enable me to do my job much better. Again, had I known about all of these benefits, I would have had my own intrinsic motivation to achieve mastery of all the historical events. And I would have had the autonomy to draw up a schedule to learn history more effectively. And I wouldn't have been so miserable in all of my history lessons. So, the bottom line is, in order to achieve happy learning, step 1, set your goals in life. Step 2, find a connection between those goals and the subjects you are studying. Step 3, work hard, do your best to excel in what you pursue. And finally, take control of your life. My most ambitious wish is that this talk of mine will put sparkles in your eyes, like how a simple saying of Thông changed my life. Thank you and happy learning.
That was truly eye-opening. Thank you so much for delivering such a relevant and meaningful topic. Unfortunately, learning usually comes with inexpressible burdens in the form of stress and expectations, which you will know all about with our next speaker, Ni Nguyen.
School is hard. I think you all can agree with me on that statement. You have to deal with your formatives and summatives from 8 different classes you take, sacrificing your time, effort, even sleeping schedule, just to get a good mark. But what happens after getting a top mark? After the honor rolls, the high achievements, and that ultimate feeling of success. This moment, this aftermath, is what never gets talked about. And it is the unnecessary stress and pressure that school puts on high-performing students. Now, I can speak from experience because as a sophomore last year, I was excelling academically. I even made it to the honor roll, and my mom bought me a cake to congratulate me. But as they say, all good things have to come to an end. The jump from the middle years program to the international baccalaureate program was huge. And there were more requirements, obligations. Obviously, expectations followed. The 6s and 7s that I used to get soon turns into 4s and 5s, sometimes even 3s. My earlier high was responsible for my all-time low. I got bullied by myself. I would tell myself things like, you suck at this subject, or you're just not good enough. Stung even more when I actually put effort into my work, but still didn't get the score that I wanted. It got to a point where I was in a denial stage. I purposely chose to not check my grades because I knew that whatever score it was going to be in my head for the rest of the week. And another emotionally draining factor was seeing my classmates succeed. But my number one enemy was the girl I used to be, with her top marks that I kept comparing mine to. However, I soon realized that it wasn't just a me problem, it was a global issue. New York University conducted a study about high-performing students and stress level, and they found out that 49%, so around half, of high-performing students experience stress on a daily basis. And 26% reported symptoms of depression at a clinically significant level. It shouldn't be this way. A quarter of our students should not experience symptoms of depression at a clinically significant level. But if I can't change the system, the demands, the obligations, the requirements, then maybe I can change the way that I look at things. I realized that my overall score wasn't important, and that I need to shift my focus into my strengths and my weakness. And that is exactly what I did. I had to look at my teacher's comments and see where I thrived and where I struggled. Not only that, but I need to push through the embarrassment of it all and see my teacher's feedback and ask for help. Go watch YouTube videos. Look through the rubric, anything I can to fill up the gap. Now, my scores did improve, but it wasn't honor roll worthy. I didn't care. The only thing that mattered is that my mental health is getting better and the content isn't so scary anymore. What I realized that school is like a journey. In order to succeed, you almost need to fail in the process. Now, getting myself through the hardship made me realize that I learned 2 things. Number 1 is the material. Number 2 is how to calm myself down, how to heal, and how to grow and be a better me. Fellow students who are struggling in this learning journey with me, think of it this way. Your mind is kind of like a tree. You wouldn't expect it to grow and give you fruits when all you feed it is trash. So why be so low on yourself? Why be so harsh on yourself? Nourish your mind. Feed it some positivity, some encouragement, maybe even some sleep. It is always important to remember to keep your mental health in check and not just chase your dreams irrationally, because you never know when you will lose both. Thank you.
I can't even begin to stress the importance of the talk you just delivered me. A truly remarkable job. And now, last but not least, please welcome our last speaker of this year's TEDxYouth at AISVN event, Chris Liu and the Art of Recycling.
Hi everyone, it's an honor to be a part of this event and stand here talking to you guys. Today, I want to get started with something that you and we both care about, and it's our lifestyle. In the past few years, so many things have happened that have actually reshaped our lifestyle. And by our lifestyle, I mean Gen Z's lifestyle. Let's take a look at our home country, Vietnam. We've been witnessing a rapid rise in trekking tours, camping, or even water sports on lakes and river. The trend even continued stronger after COVID hit because now everyone wants to avoid crowded areas and enjoy the beautiful sceneries by themselves. Our need for nature is bigger than ever, as we've seen breathtaking photos of sites on Instagram, we've watched vlogs on YouTube about how stunning the mountains are, and we have scrolled through countless clips on TikTok about how much fun you can have while kayaking or paddling. But what if I told you that our needs are in danger and cannot be fulfilled? How would you feel? Sad? Annoyed because you can't do what you want to do? Or even jealous of others because many have been able to experience that? Well, let me tell you a story of mine, and then I'll tell you how I feel about this particular situation. In 2019, my family went for a hike at Vai Mountain. The mountain is divided into two parts. From the bottom to the middle has rock stairs, and the upper half only has trails. My family wanted to get to the top, so we decided to continue with the trails. So, periodically, there's a direction that you need to follow in order to go on the right path. You need to look at the arrows on the rocks or even the ropes that are tied on the branches. At one point, we got quite confused by the directions, and my mom asked me whether we were going on the right path. I stood there for a few seconds to look around, and then I literally said, "Oh, hey mom, look, there's a lot of trash along the way. It must be right." It was supposed to be a joke for a moment, but then I realized that it is all the trash that is setting a big barrier between me and nature. Originally, natural areas are just so clean that we just want to take a seat anywhere. But now, trash is so common that we just unconsciously consider it as a normal thing. And we'll just sit with it. However, we feel uncomfortable. We feel uncomfortable because sitting on trash is never the same as sitting on grass. And I feel hurt. I feel hurt because of the amount of trash that we are putting out to the environment. I feel hurt because natural scenery can never be the same as they used to be. And I feel hurt because we, Generation Z, might never be able to know the beauty of nature. Well, I've made my decision. Rather than sitting around trash, I've decided to sit on trash. The chair that I'm sitting on is made from recycled milk cartons, and just from milk cartons. There are no extra components to it, no wood, no steel. It doesn't even have nails or glue on it. Not only that, every day I go to school with a pen decorated with recycled plastic. Well, the question is, why do I love trash and recycled products this much? Well, I love products that are made from trash because of the stories behind them. Just like an artist standing in front of a blank wall, he or she needs to brainstorm all the ideas to draw and then decide this colors need to be put up there. Each artwork has a unique story behind it, and so do recycled products. I look at them as a masterpiece because of their impact and the effort that's put into them. Collecting trash is obviously the first stage of the process. It is fair to say that trash is now an infinite resource, and this process helps both overloaded landfills and the environment. Then, all the collected trash needs to be cleaned before entering the actual recycling process. And here comes the scientific part. Depending on which type of product that you want to make, you need to choose or to make up your own recycling method that cannot emit toxic air pollutants or harm the environment. After all that is turning the raw result that you have from the recycling process into an actual and usable product. And this is the hidden 9/10. This is the part that many people, including myself, do not know about recycling. I used to think that recycling was just something very easy. You just need to put different things together and you're good to go. But I was deeply wrong. Recycling is something that requires a tremendous amount of research, time, and effort. We started off with a board of recycled material that's made from milk cans to make a table. And it had so many issues with it. The surface was rough, the joints were loose, and the structure was not sturdy enough. The next time, we tried another design. And this time, we felt even bigger. Even though it had somewhat a stylish look to it, the material was just too soft that it made the free legs could not load anything. After those trials, we started to understand the material, and even though the table is still in development, we've been able to create this chair, the chair that I've been talking about. It's made from recycled milk cans, it's very well engaged, and it works just like a normal chair. But our journey doesn't stop at maximizing the potential of available materials, as we want to create our very own recycling method. And now, things are about to get hard. This is my result after spending nearly a day trying to recycle medical masks. It didn't work out like what we expected, but we'll continue on developing it. This pen, however, is somewhat a temporary success. Does it look beautiful? Yeah, I would say so. It has somewhat an interesting and mysterious look to it. Does it contain trash? Yes, it does. It's actually made from a toilet cleaner bottle. But the question is it sustainable? The answer is no. It is not sustainable at all because it's only single-use and we're still trying to find a way to make it reusable. You see, recycling is not a simple task at all. Recycling, to make a good-looking and usable product, is a combination of art and science. Not only does it require us to go through the product development process, but it also demands recyclers to satisfy all the sustainability criteria. I, as a teenager and a part of Generation Z, believe that we all should look at recycled products with respect and appreciation, because the beauty of recycled products saves the beauty of nature. The world does not need many advanced recyclers. The world needs everyone to love and to start recycling. Thank you.
I think I fell in love with the recycling process there for a moment.
Same, I couldn't help myself. Thank you, Chris. Now, before our event comes in, and we would like to invite all speakers on stage for a short acknowledgement of your contributions.
First, please join us in welcoming Landon. Diana. Jagravi. Kunan. Lee. And Chris.
Before our event comes in, and we would like to give a huge thank you to our amazing organizing team, starting with event management, for your wonderful patience and incredible flexibility.
Thank you, marketing team, for your emoji and enthusiasm-filled posts.
Thank you, video production, for spending the time editing the footages for our event and a wonderful opening video.
Thank you, design, for the aesthetically pleasing content on our social media platforms.
And thank you, curators, for spending the time to perfect influential content and ultimately creating the event as it is today.
Thank you, speakers, for coming here, for sharing your experiences, stories, and insights. We wouldn't be here without you all.
And finally, we would like to extend another huge thank you to our superb supervisor, Mr. Andrew, for being an indispensable part of our TEDx Youth journey.
And this marks the end of TEDxYouth at AISVN 2022. We hope you had a wonderful evening and see you next year.